In the spooky spirit of Halloween, Roblox decided to finally release their very own Halloween event, inviting Roblox's greatest horror games to take part in The Haunt. It was mid. But the event aside, the games themselves were actually pretty great, and for this event, Doors released a brand new trick-or-treat game mode. In this mode, players can find special candies as items and eat them. These candies can have a large range of effects, some being beneficial while others being detrimental. So today, I thought it'd be fun to rank all 47 different candies in Roblox Doors based on how useful they are. First, let's lay down some ground rules. For the most part, this ranking is going to be based off of how useful each candy is and whether or not it's a good idea to eat. And for this ranking, I'm going to assume that your goal as a player is to simply complete a run of Doors. Make it to door 200 and escape the hotel and mines without dying. Of course, I'll point out when candies are useful for raising your total candy score, but that's not going to be the main focus of the ranking. Also, I say for the most part because while I'm going to try to be as objective as possible, I'm going to leave first and last place up to my own personal choice for the best and worst candies for the game. Mostly just for the worst candy, this one is downright personal. That said, at the end of the day, this ranking will still be my own opinion, so feel free to let me know down in the comments any changes you might personally make. Also, let me know if you want more Doors videos. This is sort of my first big video relating to Doors, so I'm kind of testing the waters here. And with that, let's begin the rankings, starting with what I believe to be the worst candy in the game. Number 47, nothing? Yep, that's right, Candies isn't in last. That's how you know this is personal. But what does this candy do? Well, at first glance, it seems like this actually does nothing at all. But if you think eating a bunch of these are safe, you're in for quite a rude awakening. Now, I've heard of this candy doing a wide range of effects, such as buffing the movement speed of Seek and Figure. But through all that, one thing is for certain. This candy greatly increases the chances of Jack spawning. In fact, the wiki goes as far as saying each candy you eat will guarantee a Jack spawn at some point. And after grinding nearly 3,000 candies and being on the top 100 leaderboard at one point, I can say with great confidence that I absolutely despise Jack with every single fiber of my being. I hate this stupid, bodiless, grinning demon, and I loathe this candy to no end. So for the more fortunate Doors players, let's review who Jack is and what he does. For every single door that you open, there is a 1 in 2,000 chance that Jack will be waiting for you behind that door. And once you open that door, you'll hear the loudest, ear-piercing, headphone-exploding scream from Jack for about half a second before he quickly vanishes, leaving behind a room full of blood, which I'll admit the blood room is actually really cool. But seriously, even at the lowest possible volume, this jump scare is still unreasonably loud and will jump scare even the most prepared players. And you know what? Normally, this is completely fine. Again, ordinarily, the chances of Jack spawning are a 1 in 2,000, or a 0.05% chance. Meaning that when you play Doors normally, you really don't need to worry much about Jack jump scaring you. And when you do inevitably find that 0.05% chance encounter, it scares the hell out of you, but then you laugh it off, you forget about it, and you move on with your run as normal. But when you eat this candy, the chances of Jack spawning drastically increase. Eat enough of these and Jack will jump scare you again, and again, and again, and again, to the point that the game as a whole becomes unfun to play. Go ahead and call me a scaredy pants all you want in the comments, but any sudden loud scream like this will make you jump. And I've played many different horror games with jump scares in them. Hell, I've been playing FNAF ever since the first game launched, and those games are still fun. Their jump scares are justified. This is not justified. And it's not even scary in the traditional sense. It's just annoying. It becomes a cheap, unreasonably loud jump scare. And the worst part is almost all the candies in each run are completely random. So you don't know that you're eating a nothing candy until you've already eaten one. And once you've eaten one, it's probably too late. Jack is coming, and no matter how prepared you think you are, he's gonna jump scare you. I dread every run where I find this candy because I know I'm not gonna have a good time expecting Jack behind each and every door I open. Technically speaking, Jack is harmless, and at the end of the day, this candy will not affect your run in any way, shape, or form. But the psychological damage that I've received from this candy is more than enough for me to put this at rock bottom. If you value your own sanity, you will avoid this candy at all costs. Owlsplash took a silly little Easter egg entity and turned it into an absolute parasite that lives in my head rent-free. I never want to see or hear this stupid smiling demon ever again. Worst candy in the game. Let's move on to the rest of the ranking. Number 46, Candies. Yeah, I really don't think anyone is surprised to see this. This is one of the 3 candies that can spawn in every single run, and it's represented by one of the 3 architects. Eating this candy will inflict 100 damage onto you, effectively killing you instantly. With that in mind, you'd think you'd want to avoid this candy at all costs, but there is one benefit to eating this. Eating Can Die actually counts as eating 5 candies, significantly increasing your total candy score. So if you're grinding the candy leaderboard, or you simply just want to get the new achievements quickly, you actually want to eat as many of these as possible, even if it kills you. But there are a handful of ways to eat Can Die without actually dying. Like I said, this candy does a consistent 100 damage, meaning if you have more than 100 health, through a Starlight items or through enough cough drop candies, for example, you can tank the 100 damage and still survive. Rock candy also makes you invulnerable to damage for a quick second, so eating Can Die during that time is also a good idea if you want to increase your total candies. But like I said at the start of the video, this ranking assumes that you want to win the game, and eating this candy is a great hindrance to that, no matter how you look at it. Number 45, Run From It. This candy instantly spawns a more obscure entity known as Dread. Dread normally spawns when you've been in a room for an unreasonably long amount of time, and when he does spawn, you have a few seconds to move on to the next room to avoid an immediate death. This candy is extremely dangerous because if you happen to eat it at a bad time, there's a good chance that you're just dead, especially if you're in the mines where you need to find multiple fuses and a power generator to progress. It's not as bad in the hotel, especially if you have the lockpick, but the mines can have pretty long rooms with some convoluted puzzles. Sometimes you'll just get unlucky and a Dread death is unavoidable. If you have a crucifix on you, you can use it on Dread, but you might not have one in every situation. That said, once you eat the candy and survive, you know which candy will trigger Dread, so you can be better prepared next time. But the RNG on this one makes it one of the deadliest candies out there. Number 44, Horrible Aftertaste, and number 43, Bad Aftertaste. I'm ranking these two together because they basically do the same thing. Both of these candies will gradually deal chip damage, eventually giving a total of 40 damage on Horrible Aftertaste and 25 on Bad Aftertaste. We're gonna see a lot of damage dealing candies coming up. I'd argue they're more dangerous than the entity spawns because the damage becomes unavoidable as soon as you eat the candy. Whereas if an entity spawns, you could just avoid the entity like normal. I also rank these aftertaste candies lower than the instant damage ones because, in my opinion, it's harder to determine whether or not these candies are safe to eat. Number 42, No Hiding for You. Eating this will trigger an attack from Hide, dealing 40 damage and preventing you from hiding for a few seconds. This is basically just another damage dealing candy with the added effect of not being able to hide. Be careful when eating this candy and try not to take it before a rush attack. Number 41, Expired Candy, and number 40, Bad Candy. These are just the standard damage dealing candies in the game, not too much else to say about them. Number 39, Silky Smooth. This candy instantly triggers an attack from Timothy, dealing 5 damage and having Timothy jump at you. This is basically another damage dealing candy with a minor jump scare. Number 38, Out of Batteries. This candy instantly depletes all the charge from your items such as flashlights or lighters, essentially removing all of your light sources. It could be difficult to find more batteries again, making this candy really annoying to deal with. You might just have to deal with several different dark rooms with no light source. There is a silver lining, being that if you drop your flashlight before taking the candy, you can eat the candy and then grab your flashlight again with no downsides. But unless you're gonna do this for every unfamiliar candy you find, you're probably gonna lose your batteries the first time you eat this. Number 37, Look Man. This candy spawns the Look Man entity from the backdoor subfloor, and he'll also spawn in the next couple of rooms. If you eat this candy, the best thing to do is to look down at the floor and look out for the quiet humming sound. In my opinion, I think Lookman is more dangerous than Eyes because he's quieter and doesn't emit as much light. And speaking of eyes, number 36, I Spy. This will spawn 2 sets of eyes in the room you're in. Keep in mind these eyes will also be the floor 2 variant, meaning they'll teleport around. Basically the same as dealing with Lookman, just look down at the floor to prevent taking damage. The reason I rank this higher than Lookman is because Eyes only spawns in one room and goes away, whereas sometimes I forget that Lookman spawns in multiple consecutive rooms and he catches me off guard. Number 35, Infested. This candy will spawn a swarm of gloom bats in the room you're in. This is one of the easier entity spawns to deal with as they're only attracted to light. Also, their AI doesn't exactly work well on floor 1. Just keep your lights off for a couple of rooms and you'll be fine. Number 34, Room for More. This candy eventually causes an A90 attack, ranging anywhere from 5 to 30 seconds after you eat the candy. For me personally, I've played Doors so much that I can deal with A90 just from muscle memory and I'm not really afraid of him. That said, I know that most players do not have that muscle memory, and A90 is easily the most lethal entity in the rooms, so I understand why so many people despise him. But the reason I rank this candy so high compared to other entity spawns is just because of how reactable it is. You'll always have a few seconds until the actual A90 attacks, so if you're not confident in dealing with him, you can just stop moving until he eventually attacks and then move on. And he only attacks once, so after that singular attack, you can just not worry about him, and then just avoid eating those candies for the rest of the run. Really not much of a threat here. Honestly, this candy would be way more threatening if A90 attacked as soon as you ate the candy, especially if you were too busy reading the candy's title to realize you were being attacked. Number 33, Lights Out. This candy breaks all of the lights in the room you're currently in, as well as all the previous rooms. Honestly, this one isn't too bad as long as you have a light source, and you'll probably find some more light rooms up ahead. Really nothing to worry about if you eat this candy. Just try to avoid this candy during boss battles, or things could get difficult really quickly. Seriously, having door 150 be completely dark is a nightmare. Number 32, Volatile Starlight. This is another candy that could appear in every single run, represented by the Curious Light. While Guidance is consistently helpful and Can Die is consistently harmful, Volatile Starlight just does whatever it feels like doing. Sometimes it will give you the Starlight effect, which heals you and temporarily gives you speed and shield health. Other times you'll just get the speed boost with no healing, or you'll take a little bit of damage, and sometimes this candy will just straight up kill you like Can Die does. I've ranked this candy decently high because this candy can provide benefits, but honestly, I don't think this candy is worth taking in most cases. The speed and shield are nice to have, but they both run out really quickly and aren't worth risking your life over in my opinion. Also, if you took a cough drop that's supposed to give you permanent shield, the Starlight effect could end up draining it away. You can eat this candy in a pinch, but in my opinion, it's just too risky. Number 31, Tax Deductions. Eating this candy will take away 30% of your total gold. From my experience, this doesn't hurt my run too much, but it could become a problem if you take a lot of them. Number 30, Earmuffs. After eating this, you'll put on some earmuffs, and all of the game's audio becomes quiet and muffled for 30 seconds. Hearing is an important part of the game, so losing that can be pretty detrimental. The only reason this is ranked so high is because it is only temporary, and if you really wanted to, you could just stand around and wait for the effect to wear off. Number 29, Jinkies. After eating this candy, you drop your glasses and have blurry vision for 30 seconds. Honestly, this candy hurts more than you think. It can be pretty difficult to move around like this and find loot. I only rank this slightly higher than earmuffs because I think listening is a bit more important for entities like Rush, Ambush, and Figure. But again, you can just wait out the 30 seconds and eventually your vision will come back to normal. Number 28, Butterfingers. When you eat this, you will immediately drop all of the items in your inventory and you won't be able to pick them back up for a couple of seconds. Honestly, I had trouble ranking this one. On one hand, if you're playing this solo, this is really just a minor inconvenience. Eventually, you just pick up your items and move on. But if you're playing with other people, a not-so-kind teammate could come and just steal all of your items. So honestly, this candy could be more or less harmful depending on how you play the game. Number 27, In the Middle. This is another health-based candy, and this one will always put your health bar right in the middle. This means that this candy will either heal you or damage you depending on your current situation. This candy has definitely healed me a couple of times, but from my experience, this candy usually hurts me more than it heals. But if you know which candy this is, it definitely can be useful when you're in a pinch. Number 26. Psst. This candy will spawn multiple screeches for a short period of time, even when you're not in the dark. In some cases, you can even be attacked by multiple screeches at once. This is obviously not good, and you're probably wondering why I ranked this so high. Well, from my experience, getting attacked by these screeches actually doesn't damage you at all. Meaning that, at worst, this is just an inconvenient jump scare. In all honesty, this is probably just an oversight, and it could very likely be patched by the time this video comes out, but as it stands right now, this candy is actually not as bad as you think. Number 25, Nausea. You gain a temporary speed boost, but your camera also gets wobbly for a bit, making it feel like you had a bit too much to drink. The wobbly can be very disorienting, and sometimes it even looks like you're about to fall over. Something you'll notice from this ranking is that speed boosts are very valuable. After all, moving quickly can help you escape most, if not all, entities in the game. With that said, while I appreciate this candy's speed boost, the wobbling is a bit too disorienting to get any meaningful movement out of said speed boost. Number 24, Terminal Velocity. This candy will send you ragdolling at top speed in the direction that you're facing. It's honestly just a really silly candy that's funny to use, and it can even help you get away from some entities. Just be careful with this one, as there's a small chance you'll get stuck and soft locked, especially if you're playing solo. Also, I I heard you can use this to skip door 150, and that's honestly cool as hell. Number 23, Rock Candy. Rock Candy will drastically decrease your movement speed down to a crawl for about 2 seconds, and then changing it back to normal. But during these 2 seconds of slowness, you're also invulnerable to all damage. So you could theoretically use this to avoid an entity like Rush, or you can eat a Candy with no consequences. This candy could kill you if you're in a bad spot, but from my experience, that almost never happens. Just don't eat this during the sea chase and you'll be fine. By the way, in case you haven't noticed yet, we're officially halfway through the ranking. So if you're enjoying the videos so far, don't forget to hit that subscribe button to be notified about future videos like these. It only takes a couple seconds to do so, and you can always unsubscribe later if you change your mind. Alright, let's get back into it. Number 22, Investment. This is the only candy of the game that you need to eat 2 of to fully experience. The first time you eat this candy, you'll instantly lose all of your gold. But if you find and eat another investment candy, all of your gold will be returned and then some. You'll receive more gold depending on how much gold you initially invested. You can get anywhere from 50% more to even twice as much gold as you invested. This candy does have the potential to give you lots of gold, but when you find your first investment candy at a bad time, it's incredibly harmful. Seriously, imagine finding this candy at door 50 just before Jeff's shop. Number 21, Not Crazy. Honestly, this might be my personal favorite neutral candy. It's honestly hilarious. Eating this candy will greatly increase the rate of random ambience noise that you hear throughout the game. This could be scary stuff such as knocking and footsteps, but it can also be sounds that actually mess up your gameplay, such as a fake rush sound, a fake screech, a fake Loombat swarm, etc. Personally, I've played this game so much that I mostly tune out all the ambience no matter how often it shows up, but this candy just messes with you and it's so funny. Number 20, You Finally Turn Green. As the name implies, this candy turns you green. Your avatar turns green, and you get a green tint on your screen for the rest of the game. This candy is just a harmless visual change. And if you eat the candy again after already turning green, this candy does absolutely nothing. So that's nice if you want to increase your candy score. Also, according to the wiki, this candy also makes it possible to find a shake light, an item that's normally only found in the rooms. That said, the spawn rate seems to be incredibly rare. I haven't personally found a shake light myself from this candy, but if that's true, that's a nice infinite light source you can find. Number 19, I Can't Stop. Basically the opposite of rock candy. This candy drastically increases your speed for 2 seconds before returning it back to normal. Now, I know I said that speed is useful for doors, but this is a bit much. You run so quickly that you basically become uncontrollable, and it lasts for such little time that I really can't see any practical use for this candy. I mean, if you eat this candy during the sea chase, you'll probably just run into something, effectively slowing you down. Number 18, Hard Candy. Eating this candy sacrifices your speed in exchange for more health. Your max health permanently increases, but your speed permanently decreases. Honestly, this isn't really the best trade-off on paper, but for some reason, if you take a speed boosting item such as vitamins or Starlight, the speed decrease completely cancels out. This brings you back to normal speed while keeping the benefit of the health increase. So if you have any vitamins on you, this is honestly a good candy to take. Alternatively, if you've eaten a little too much brittle, you could eat some hard candy to try and balance out your stats. So hard candy definitely does have its practical use. Number 17, Glowing. After eating this, your body will glow in light for 30 seconds. This is very useful for dark rooms if you don't have a light source. This light doesn't attract the gloom bats either, so this is a pretty good candy all around. Number 16, Money Walks. When you eat this, you'll slowly gain gold as you walk for a limited time. This candy is basically just free gold with no downsides. The only reason I rank this so low is because when you eat this, you'll feel the constant need to walk around, which is annoying for looting. Number 15, Energized. This will completely refill all of the charge on your items, such as flashlight battery and lighter fuel. This can be really nice if you're low on batteries. Interestingly enough, I think this candy also replenishes the shears, which is something that the out of batteries candy does not deplete from. So this candy can actually give a little extra bonus as well. Number 14, Duplication. This candy duplicates all of the items in your inventory and drops them on the ground. But keep in mind, this won't duplicate any candies you're holding, just your normal items. This candy is definitely useful, but it's kind of a toss-up depending on what you're holding and who you're playing. From my experience, I tend to get this candy a lot when I can't hold any more of the items I just duplicated. Like seriously, I can't hold a second flashlight or crucifix. Why would I want to duplicate them? But on the other hand, if you're playing multiplayer, this candy can be extremely useful, essentially allowing you to share your inventory with your teammates without giving up any items of your own. Number 13, Made of Gold. Eating this will give you more gold, and that's useful for pretty obvious reasons. Number 12, Decent Candy. Number 11, 11, good candy, number 10, tasty candy, and number 9, delicious candy. All of these are your standard healing candies. Decent heals 5, good heals 10, tasty heals 20, and delicious candy heals a whopping 40 HP. These candies can be very helpful if you're ever low on health. Number 8, good aftertaste, and number 7, great aftertaste. These are more healing candies, but they'll heal you gradually instead of instantly. In my opinion, the gradual healing is more valuable as you can heal off any damage you take shortly after eating the candy. If you get hit right after an instant heal, you're kind of out of luck. If you're really low on health though, you can just stand around and wait for the gradual healing to pile up. Number 6, brittle. Basically the opposite of hard candy. Eating this will permanently increase your speed at the expense of your max HP. Like I said, speed is incredibly useful for escaping entities, so I think the trade-off is worth it, at least at first. That said, eating multiple brittles will get rid of your HP very quickly, leading to some dangerous situations. I ranked brittle this high because of its speed potential, but I think you should only eat 2 of these at most. Eating 3 or more could put you at risk of an early grave, especially if you end up eating some damage-dealing candies. Just don't eat too much of these, or your sugar rush might crash. Number 5, prize inside. Eating this candy will drop an item for you at random. This can be a wide variety of useful items such as a skeleton key or crucifix. Also, if you get an item that you can hold multiple of, you'll instantly get the maximum amount, such as 3 vitamins or 10 glow sticks. And you can even get items from the mines early on in the hotel, such as the bulk light or the bandage and battery packs. This candy even allows you to get items that you normally couldn't in this mode, such as the guiding candle or the bottle of starlight. Also, this candy does have a chance of dropping the tip jar, an item that you could normally only get through exploiting. The tip jar is completely useless, but it's nice that regular players can at least take a look at it. Of course, sometimes this candy will give you something useless, but a free item is a free item. Really no downsides at all to this one. I don't think I need to explain why items are useful in this game. Number 4, cough drop. Eating a cough drop will give you some shield health, allowing you to take some hits without actually losing damage to your health bar. Essentially, this can function as a second health bar on top of your first one. Normally, you can get this shield from starlight items, but that shield tends to drain away regardless if you take damage or not. But if you eat a cough drop, that shield doesn't drain. You can eat up to 4 cough drops to have a full bar of shield, giving you a total of 200 HP. This shield can also let you take a hit from rush without getting killed. Needless to say, this cough drop is awesome. Getting more health than normal is incredibly helpful and will keep you alive for way longer. Number 3, guidance. This is the third and final candy that spawns in every run of this mode, represented by the guiding light. At a glance, this candy seems to just spawn in guiding light to show you the exit like it normally does when you're in a room for too long. But this candy actually has way more uses than that. First of all, the guidance candy will show you the correct door to choose if you're in a room with dupe doors, which is something that guiding light doesn't normally do. But on top of that, this candy also gives you X-ray vision, showing where key items are and even outlining certain entities so that you know where they are at all times. This is especially useful during the boss fights in door 50, door 100, and door 150, but not door 200 because that's just parkour. Being able to see exactly where the library books are and where Figure currently is makes this boss fight so much easier, and it almost makes you feel like a hacker. Eating this candy at door 150 will instantly show you where all of the anchors are, as well as the locations of all of the grumbles, making this section far more manageable. Sadly, the outlines do eventually fade away, but the guiding light will still remain until you leave the room. There's really not much else I can say here. This candy could be useful for any room that you're having trouble with, and it's easily one of the best candies in the game. Number 2, cinnamon. This candy will give you a permanent speed boost for the rest of the run. The speed boost isn't as big as the one from Brittle, but unlike Brittle, there's no downside to taking cinnamon. You'll just get the speed boost with no health downgrade. And for basically the 5th time in this video, speed is key, so you're gonna want to eat as many cinnamon candies as you can find and just let the speed pile up. But with that, let's move on to what I believe to be the best candy in the game. Number 1, regurgitate. That's right, the best candy in the game is technically considered to be in the neutral category, but if you use this candy correctly, it's very beneficial. Eating a regurgitate candy will duplicate the previous candy that you ate, allowing you to pick it up and eat it a second time. The reason this is number 1 is because you can essentially double the effects of any candy you desire, which instantly makes it the best candy in the game. If you think about it, this is technically every candy in the game merged into one. Now, of course, you won't know which candy is a regurgitate until you eat one first, so your first regurgitate might give you something undesirable, but you could just choose not to eat the candy again. And once you find a second regurgitate, go nuts! You can duplicate whatever you want. Need more help on door 150? Regurgitate a guidance candy. Want more items? Regurgitate a prize inside. Want more gold? Regurgitate a Made with Gold or an investment candy. Want more speed? Regurgitate a cinnamon. Want more healing? Regurgitate a delicious candy. Want even more health? Regurgitate a cough drop. No matter what, the Regurgitate candy itself becomes a jack of all trades candy that can help you with any situation. Or you could just duplicate another nothing candy. You know who you are, you freak. But with that, that is my final ranking for all the candies in Roblox doors. Like I said, this ranking is still my opinion, so let me know if you guys would make any changes. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.